Hey everybody, how we doing? Thanks for tuning into the channel again. So there's that big space in the sky, Luke, that we took that tree down from. Right by that shop.
Yeah, it looks a little different around here.
It sure does. It sure does. That's good. So friends, what we got today is Rob, he just told us to take this for firewood. We cut him a 16, which he's got over there. I think those are ours too. I'll double check when he comes down. But for firewood, I think those are the tops, Luke.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. But this he gave to us for firewood. So it's green. But I've got a 372, friends, that is an old spare from Donnie freaking Walker. Donnie, if you're out there, we love you, brother. But it's just an old spare 372 that I used to take. It wasn't my strongest saw, but it was an excellent running saw. The throttle cable might be getting a bit goofy on it, but it is old and it's got a lot of miles on it. But I put a pipe on it that I had Mark Trader build for me, which is super cool saws, friends. I designed it. It's just a bear claw knockoff, I call it, bear claw style. And this is what it is. It's got a little header pipe on it, and it just goes into a can and shoots out. That's it. It's just kind of it's not a straight pipe. That's not called a straight pipe because there's back pressure in this muffler. It cracks nice, but there's definitely back pressure because the outlets aren't huge. They're actually on the smaller side, friends. But it's not a 75 pot. This is just a 372 ported. It's a spare fallen saw is what it is. That's all this is. I haven't had it running for a while. Let's fire it up. I may take a sliver off of that thing, Luke, to start us out square.
Okay.
Gloop, 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 gloop. The DGP, if you want a wonderful experience running bar oil, you know, if you're just at that stage of your life where you want to have a nice experience with your bar oil, this has been a game changer for me, friends. I would literally search this oil out now. I would. Scotty, I say it all the time, you got me, buddy. We used to, my loggers buddies and I, mainly fallers, we would joke at this stuff. We'd have to use it on watersheds and stuff like that, up the logging road and that. But it was garbage. It was terrible. I think it was vegetable oil. I really do. But this stuff, it's crazy. I run it steady. It's all I run. So, Luke, if you want to zone in on our hook and our chain, show people what we're dealing with here. I brought a couple nice things today. I brought a nice little, and I'll flip that over for you, Luke, too. So you got that side?
Yep.
It's got a nice hook on that. Let's flip this up top here so you can see what we got for teeth left. See if you can focus in on those teeth. Let folks know what we're kind of working with. One side's a little, well, it's pretty much the same now. I filed it up. But friends, the rakers are high. They're not low. This is not a grabby chain. This will be probably quite a smooth cutting chain right now. And here's the other side. See that, friends? Just very nice, humble hook. Just a good working hook. Maybe, this feels nice, this saw. It's nice and light. I love these things. This was my gun. This was my gun for years. I'm thinking of maybe, look at the sap pocket. Look at that crack. That crack runs from the edge of the log all the way. You'll see it. It's got rocks and stuff, so yeah. I want to be careful here. I may cut this hinge wood off and start us fresh, Luke.
Okay.
Sign of a saw that has not been run for quite a while. This thing idles high a bit.
Oh yeah.
It's an old spare with 100,000 miles on it. Perfect, because you can feel when you're grabbing wood. I just want to talk to folks who are watching right now about when you're in a big setting like this on big wood and you don't want to hit the rocks. You got two options. You feather it with your tip, right? You're working with your tip, or you get your bar flat straight with the horizontal with the horizon. It can really help you, especially if you know your song. And this is what I mean by that. Okay? So if you know your bet you all yous watching can tell this ain't no ported, like ain't no crazy saw, right? It's just a spare 372, 71 cc's. It's sacked out. This saw's had a lot of miles on it, but it still gets it done. I thought I had a raker gauge with me. You hear that saw's acting right up, eh?
Yeah.
It's got an air leak somewhere. My point was going to be, friends, is that I'm at about 20 degrees. My rakers are high. We'll show you at the house, eh, Luke? Remind me when we get back. I'll put the gauge on there, friends. It's up there. I'm surprised I don't have a Husky gauge in here. Oh, if you've never smelt the fir pitch, lovely. and dry. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
So we should probably leave this for that ripsaw saw coming tomorrow.
I think so.
Let's leave this because that'll be. But did you see what I mean about that, Luke? Instead of trying to save your saw, your chain out.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
we're sharp. We're still sharp, and I'm cutting right in the grass. The bark is forgiving on these big bark trees because what happens is you cut through the sapwood, and the tree will give you a sign whether it's going to pinch you or open, and you can feel it in the chain. That's why. I'll show you when we get home, friends. This is not a hungry raker. I'm able to let the saw work. I'm able to lean on it. I'm able to play with the chain, play with the wood, because the rakers are, I'd be surprised, Luke. I'll bet you they're 18 to 20 thou. It's a high setting, this one. Well, we got to be honest. We checked it at the house, Luke, you and I.
Yeah, we did.
But we didn't film it, I don't think.
No.
So we'll film it when we get home. But there it is. There's the chain.
It was a little proud on the 22, right?
Yeah, it was
22
actually
gauge.
sticking up
Yeah.
out of the raker gauge. Now we're getting ragged. Let's be honest. We're down on the end of this now, almost. And you can see it died. It died in the cut, so it left me with a bit of sawdust but not bad. It's good. Hey, we're home. So I talked about this on site. Me and Luke are both drenched. Just drenched. We had a wild swinging axe. Lukey, how about that 29er?
That thing's nuts.
It's crazy. Anyway, I have 3 of these gauges. I know them. I've studied them. This is 22 thou. This one. It's a Carlton Philo plate. It's an older one. It's 22 thou, friends. I've done all the math and the research, and check this out. So this is the saw we were running out there in that big fir. Full house, hand file. You've seen the chain already. We showed you a couple times. But I want to show you this. Just so you know where the rakers were at in that big log. This is 22 thou. You can tell that the rakers are almost shiny, Luke. You can't see the filing marks. Can you look in real close? You can see them, but barely. See how the filing marks are like worn off almost? So if you didn't, you'd see that. Well, you can see where I filed it anyway, can't you?
You can definitely see where you filed it.
Okay, so, well, sure you can, because there they are. There's the lines. There's the raker lines.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you look back at one, Luke, it's kind of shiny. You can't really see the filing marks.
Yeah.
That means they've been getting a battering, like a piece of driftwood on the beach or a rock. Okay, but here's my point. Here's my point. Look, friends. You get what I'm saying? We're not low. These rakers are not low. They're actually high, and I'm leaving them there. I've said this for years, friends. Okay, like we're probably, as a matter of fact, let's do something. I'll get my husky gauge. I'm wiped. What a trip. I'm just drenched. Hard setting. This will be interesting. Yes, indeed. There you go. We're on the hard setting of the husky gauge. Look, let's go here. Hard setting on the husky gauge.
Okay.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's 20 thou. I'm not positive, but it ain't 25. I know that for a fact. That is 25, I think, the softwood. So anyway, my point is being, this is not a hungry chain. My rakers are not low. They're actually high. And a good sign of that, friends, is after you run your saw, look at your rakers and see if they're kind of shiny or the filing marks are worn off them. If that makes sense. A sharp tooth, right? With not a really aggressive hook, just a nice modest hook with a sharp tooth. I know it's different in the hardwoods, friends. I'm just talking for softwood cutting. Hardwood, it seems to me that you guys like a raker a little more aggressive, and it makes sense, or you'll bounce off your hardwood. I get it. I've been there. I've been a few places in Pennsylvania and then Ohio where I was cutting shag bark and pig nut, and it was freaking bouncing off that pig nut, or the shag bark, pardon me. Stuff was tough. So there's a fine line. I can't wait to get some square ground chain into that hardwood of yours. square ground at about 20 degrees on the 18 to 20 thou on the raker gauge. That's a cut and chain. What saw was that, friends? That was an old Donnie Walker. Gosh, I packed that saw all over. It was never my strongest saw. It was just one that I always had a real strong 72. And I would, you don't go to work with one saw. When you're falling, you have two, you know, and spare bars and two axes and double everything, right? Two of everything. So that saw was just always a good starter, but then it started to act up a little bit, and I think there's an air leak a little bit in it at some place on the saw. I don't know exactly where, but it always fires, it always runs. I don't know what I'll do with that saw. I think we'll see. Maybe I'll send it over to Donnie to get cleaned up again, or maybe I'll open it up and send it down to Scotty Wilson to make something orangutan. We're not sure yet, but I did want to share that saw with you, friends. It's a dandy. Old Donnie Walker put lots of those together for me back in the day. That's why I love companies like the Walkers and Ripsaw. These types of companies build saws for working men and women. They can't go bonkers and crazy like the Scotty Wilsons and the Tin Mans and Iron Horses, because sometimes there's problems with those saws, or erratic little behaviors that you're willing to work with those around the cookie cutting zone and the yard when you're close to the house, and jobs that are close to the house. But when you're up on the freaking side hill, you know, and the crummie's a half an hour away, it's not the game. So big shout out to Walkers and Ripsaw. These guys are putting some good stuff together for the working Joes out there. So, but anyway, I wanted to share that saw with you. It's been a long time since I had it out for a run. And friends, thanks a lot for watching our videos. Work hard, be honest, and be kind to one another. We'll catch you on the next one.